Welcome to new lesson in quadratics. So the first problem is find the zeros of each quadratic function from its graph. So just for the students to understand the graph, you are starting with this graph. So the first function is y is equal to x square minus x minus 2. Just what does it mean by find the zeros? When the graph is cutting the x-axis, that means x is equal to 0. So we can see from the graph it cuts at 2 points at 2 and somewhere near that 1 minus 1. So find the zeros of the quadratic function from its graph. See how the graph functions. This graph is a parabola. It cuts the x-axis in 2 points. So find the zeros means where the graph cuts the x-axis is a 0. So we will try to solve y is equal to, so it is x minus 2 multiplied by x plus 1 if you solve the quadratic equation. So when y will become 0, 0 when x minus 2 multiplied by x plus 1 is equal to 0, or when x is equal to 0, this factor will become 0, or when x is equal to minus 1, this factor will become 0. So the second problem, you see the graph cuts x-axis at only one point. If you try to draw the diagram for this, you will understand why this graph is facing downwards, because it is minus. The factor of a is minus, that's why it's facing down. So this graph cuts the x-axis in one point. So let us just find out what about when x is equal to 0, y is equal to 2 minus 2x squared comes 0, plus 4x becomes 0, minus 2. So it cuts to y-axis at minus 2. You see the graph. When x is equal to 0, y is minus 2. That is not what we want. What we want is, so we'll try to solve this equation. Y is equal to 0 means 2x square plus 4x. Let's change the equation. Oh, it's minus 2x square plus 4x minus 2 is equal to 0. Or if you take a minus, see this 2 is common. If you just, oh, we don't have space, we will solve it here. Minus 2x square plus 4x minus 2 is equal to 0. You can change the sign, or you divide by 2 and change the sign. Both you can do. You can write the same equation as 2x squared minus 4x plus 2 is equal to 0. If we divide by 2, then also be 0. X square minus 2x plus 1 equal to 0, or it is simply x minus 1 whole square is equal to 0, or when it becomes 0, x is equal to 1 comma 1 2, both the factors are only 1. You can see x is equal to 1 is the solution for the second problem. This is problem 2. So the next problem, you see, let us take, if it is x is equal to 0, y is equal to, the first factor is 1. So the y is equal to 1. It is not touching the x-axis at all. Why there is no solution? So if it is 0, no, 1 by 4x square plus 1 is equal to, should be equal to 0. X square is a positive value. When anything, even if it is minus, if it is squared, become positive. Plus 1 is not equal to 0. Therefore, no solution. Next problem. The vertic, see in this above equation we will see this definition you see about the vertical line that divides a parabola into two symmetrical halves is the axis of symmetry. The axis of symmetry always passes through the vertex of the parabola. We can use the zeros to find the axis of symmetry. So what is the axis of symmetry? So if you see the graph, these parabolas, either that maximum or minimum, this point is called vertex. So what is the value of the function? Is phi. When y is maximum or minimum. The first case you see, this is minimum. Y value of the y is minimum. This in this case, value of the y is maximum is 0. Minimum is all minus value of y. The third case, minimum value of the y is here. Minimum value of y is 1. And that is the vertex. So what do you see from this graph? This parabola, so vertex, there is a line passing through the vertex. Suppose this is the line passing through the vertex. So this is the axis of the parabola. And the parabola, you see, in both sides, it is symmetrical. So in this case, you see, the y-axis is the axis of symmetry. So the third case, see, this y-axis is the axis of symmetry. So with this axis, this parabola is symmetry. The axis of the parabola passes through the vertex. So you know the property. The vertex is here. See, if the vertex is here, this is the symmetry. If the vertex is here, so the line through the vertex is the axis of symmetry. We can use the zeros property to find the axis of symmetry. If you see this, what about the axis? Equation of the axis is parallel to y-axis. Parallel to y-axis. And also see the 2.x, 2 point where it cuts the x-axis. The average of the x-axis will pass through the line of symmetry. So these two properties we will use. In this case, of course, it is not passing through. It is x is equal to 0 in this case. The third case. So we will use these properties to solve the equation. So what do you observe from the above? Sometimes it can be only 1 0. That means if a function has 1 0, use your x coordinate of the vertex to find the axis of symmetry. If the function has 1 0, it cuts only at x coordinate of the vertex to find the axis. Next, if it is 2 zeros, if a function has 2 zeros, that is, it cuts the x axis in two places. use the average of the two zeros to find the axis of symmetry. So in the above case, what is that? You see, so in the first case, the equation, cuts the x-axis in two places. So to find the x-axis of the y coordinate, what is the coordinate? Is x1 plus x2 divided by 2. You find the average. You get the coordinate of the axis of symmetry, x coordinate. What about the second case? X is equal to 0. So there's no question of taking average. What about in the third case? It is also, this is, so in this case, x is not equal to 0, x is equal to 1, this second one. The third one, it is on the y-axis, so x is equal to 0. So, shall we write the coordinate, the first case? X, see, I will just put, what about x is, one possibility is 2, this point is, sorry, this point is x equal to, this point is x equal to 1. So, average is 2 minus 1 divided by 2 is equal to half. So, the coordinate, what about this axis is, what is the definition of axis? It's parallel to y-axis. That means x is equal to half is the definition for this axis. X is half. You see, it continues half here, like this. What about the second case? In second case, x is equal to only 1. So, the same point is the x is equal to 1 is the axis of symmetry. So, this is so it passes through x equal to 1 and is parallel to y-axis. What about in the third case? So, y-axis is the axis of symmetry. So, x is equal to 0 is the axis of symmetry. So, or it's called y-axis is the axis of symmetry. So, this 0 of the function is becoming 0 for a particular value of x. What is the function here? We represent it by y, or a function of x. A function of x. For a particular value of x, the function is becoming 0. That is the, so when we say find the zeros of the each quadratic function, so for some particular function it becomes 0 at that point. Y is the function becomes 0. So we'll go to next problem. For a question work one about, for a quadratic function, axis of symmetry is the vertical line and x is equal to minus b by 2a. So what is the first equation? Y is equal to x squared minus x minus 2. Y is equal to x square minus x minus 2. What is the axis of symmetry is given by the formula. Is equal to minus b. B is minus 1. Minus of minus 1 divided by 2. A is here 1. So it's equal to half. That is the axis of symmetry. So here's for a graph, find the axis of symmetry. Means axis of symmetry x. Axis of symmetry. So for the axis, what is the equation is parallel to y-axis? X is equal to minus of minus b, minus of b. b is 3 here, minus 3 divided by 2. A is here 1, this equation is equal to minus 3 by 2. Axis of symmetry is equal to minus 3 by 2. The third case, next for problem, what is the axis of symmetry for the graph? Like y is equal to 2x square plus x plus 3. What is it? So answer is axis of symmetry is equal to minus b by 2a. Is equal to, this case minus b is minus 1 divided by 2a is 2a is 2 multiplied by 2 is equal to minus 1 by 4. Axis of symmetry is x is equal, that's what we will mention, x is equal to minus b by 2a. So when we know the axis, we can use it to identify the vertex of the parabola. How you will find the, we can use this, it is in the x, this axis, vertex is, the x coordinate of the vertex. So y coordinate of the equation, if you substitute the x value, we get the y coordinate. And we can write it as a ordered pair. So we will just apply this in the above formula, Question number 4 we will apply. So what is the coordinate of the vertex? X is equal to minus 1 by 4. What is y is equal to 2 multiplied by x square, 1 by 4 square, with a minus, minus 1 by 4 square plus x, x is minus 1 by 4 plus 3. If you solve this, it is 2 divided by 16 minus 1 by 4 plus 3. Just you can arrive at the coordinate of the x. If you add these through, is equal to 3. If we take a common denominator 16, this becomes 4 by 16. This is 2 by 16. Result is 3 minus 2 by 16, or 3 minus 1 by 8, or it is 2 and 7 by 8. That is the coordinate of the y. So what is the order of the pair x, y? Order of the pair is minus 1 by 4, comma, this is plus 2, 7 by 8. When you know the value of x, you can find out the value of y, because equation now is given. So the parabola, so we will first find the equation of the axis of symmetry, or then we know the coordinate of the vertex. Once if you know coordinate of the x coordinate of the vertex, you can find out the y coordinate. That's how we proceed with this problem. So next is find the vertex of this equation. So how we do? Y is equal to, we can take x common, minus x multiplied by x plus 2 is the equation. When y is equal to 0, either x is 1, this is equal to 0, either x is equal to 0 or x equal to minus 2. So when you know 2x, average axis of symmetry, you can take an average of these two, that is 0 minus 2 divided by 2 minus 1, or use the formula. What is the formula? Minus axis of symmetry is minus 2b by 2a minus, if you rearrange this equation, no, you know value of b is minus 2, a is minus 1. That minus b value is 2 divided by 2 multiplied by value of a is minus 1. Here this is minus of minus. So it's equal to 2 divided by minus 2 is equal to minus 1. Same, see, the same thing should get. If you know x is equal to 2, what is the y? Minus 1. Y is equal to, can find the y. Y is equal to minus x square. X square is 1. Minus 2 multiplied by x. X is equal to 2 multiplied by minus 1. If you minus this become plus 2. Is equal to minus 1 plus 2 is equal to plus 1. So what is the ordered pair? X is equal to minus 1, y is equal to plus 1. The ordered pair is x is minus 1, comma y is minus 1. 1 is the ordered pair. This is the vertex. So, oh, that's the second problem. This also treat. So minus b by 2a, x coordinate. So the second problem is pretty short. We'll do. X is equal to minus b is 10 divided by 2a is 10 is equal to x is equal to 1. If you apply x is equal to 1, this is 5 minus 10 plus 3. What is that? 5 plus 3 is 8 minus 7. This y is minus 2. This is the ordered pair or vertex. So we will do a problem also in this. The height above the water level of a curved arch or a bridge can be modeled by the equation f x equal to, where x is the distance in feet from the support wall. Find the maximum gap in height for boats to cross. So what exactly he says first that we will try to draw. He says height above the water. Some say let us take the water level. Next what he says, the function is a parabola. Y is x square x plus c. The form of ax square plus bx plus c. It's a curved arc, he says, something like this. The curved arc is something like this. So excuse me for the diagram. The height above the water level. So what is the maximum height? This height peak is here. So peak means this is the vertex. So this is the axis. You have to find out both water level. The curved arc for a bridge can be modeled by the equation. So what is it? See, the bridge goes like this. Equation for the bridge here he has given fx is equal to minus 0.007 x square plus 0.84x plus a. So what you have to find? Find first the axis of symmetry. What is the x is equal to minus b by 2a. So in this case minus b is minus 0.84 symmetry by 2a is 2 multiplied by a is minus 0.007 minus b is minus 0.84. This is a, this is b, this is a. So if you divide one by the other, you get the axis of symmetry is equal to minus, let us multiply it by 100 or 1000, then become 1, 2, 3, then become how much? If you multiply by 10, become 8.4. If you multiply by 100, it becomes 84. If you multiply by 1000, it becomes 840. So I will make it minus 840 or multiply divide by 1000. If you multiply 1000 here, 10 if it become 0.00. If you multiply 100, it become 0.7. If you multiply 1000, it becomes 7. So it is to multiply by minus 7. Oh, this minus and minus will get cancelled. So if you score, it is 120. This minus and will get cancelled with this. If you score, this is 60 equal to 60 in feet, is given in feet. So you know the value of x now in feet. So we can find, so this axis here, it is x is 60, comma. So in this point is not vertex. What is the point? We have to find out 60 comma something vertex. So this function x, now you know the value of x, you apply this formula, get the value of y. So fx or that y is equal to minus 0.007 multiplied by x square is 60 square plus 0.84 multiplied by 60 plus 0.8. So this gives the height of this gap and the maximum gap in height for the boats to cross. That's what it says. So we have to find the value of the y. So we'll try to multiply this one. 60 multiplied by is equal to 60 is now 3600 is multiplied by 7, you know. So 1, 2, 3, 3 point. You take point here or multiply by 7 multiplied by this one, 7, 6 or 42, 4, 3, 7 are 21 plus 4, 25. This will become 25 point. So let it be bigger. 25.2 plus the next factor 84. You multiply. 6 4s are 24. 2 8 6 are 40 plus 2 50. Now 2 points, you know, 1 0 here. So it is become 50.4 plus So you add 50 plus 25. 75, this one is equal to 76 feet. Much of height, is it correct? So the maximum height or the coordinate of the vertex is, in this problem, it is 60, comma 76. That is the vertex. So this is vertex, coordinate of the vertex. V is 60, comma 76 is its height, y coordinate. That is the answer for the above problem. Next, we'll try one more problem like that. The height in feet above the ground of an arrow t seconds after it is shot be modeled by the equation. What is this? The equation is fx is equal to minus 16x squared plus 16x. So we take a ground level. The arrow shot, how it passes like this and comes. So the equation is again. So what is the max? What is it? T seconds after it is shot be modeled by fx, where x is a distance. Sorry, x is a time here. T seconds after it is shot be modeled by the equation. So this, oh sorry, it is not t second, it is x second. We have changed the problem. X seconds. So what is this? Y, the function, or we will take it as y is equal to function x is equal to minus 16x square plus 64x. So it is vertex. So the axis, this is axis of vertex. This is 0 point where we start the arrow. No, the function is, arrow will move as per the formula. That's what it says. Next, what is the axis of symmetry? This formula axis of symmetry is very minus b by 2a. This case b is 64, minus b is minus 64 divided by 2a. 2 multiplied by a is 16, minus 16. 2 multiplied by minus 16. So it's equal to minus 64 by minus 32 is equal to 2. So this is x coordinate. This x coordinate of the vertex is, this is 2 now. So we have to find what is the y. Y is equal to, at the vertex, y at x equal to 2 is equal to minus 16 into x square is 2 square plus 64 into 2 multiplied by 2. So 60 into 2 square, it is minus 64 plus 128 is equal to plus 64 feet is the y. So answer is y 2 comma 64. So it is 64 feet. The height is 64 feet. Can it pass through? Can the arrow pass over a tree that is 68 feet tall? No. So arrow cannot pass above vertex. That is all the answer. Now thank you for listening to this lesson. So in this problem we have seen the basics of quadratic, how the quadratic function behaves. This is a function, how we are able to arrive at the zeros of each quadratic function, axis of symmetry. And once we know axis of symmetry, we can find out the y coordinate of the vertex. Thank you.